Hey, it's Randy.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, guys.
Somebody was late with Zoom. Could be a lawsuit about this.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Good evening, everybody.
hi. Hey, Steph.
We're all in, yes?
Jake, was there a problem getting people online?
That was me just logging in at the nick of time. So
Okay, all
apology.
right, good. I just want to make sure that it wasn't on my end. I was trying to troubleshoot it from here.
I'm sure it was on your end.
Yeah, it usually is.
Eric, I think I liked you better with the long hair.
Yeah, well, my wife liked her boyfriend really well, but I got rid of him.
Okay.
That's what she
I was
called
going to say, did your wife did your wife kick your boyfriend? Did your
No.
wife kick her boyfriend out, or what happened?
No, the thing was, when I had my long hair, that's what she called me. All right, so
Right.
how many do we have here? Yeah, I hear three. Is Paul coming tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Commissioner Tonelli has not stated he would not be here, but I do not see him yet on the meeting, and nor do I see Commissioner Lerner at this point. But here we do have a quorum. I have 6:03 p.m. if you would like to start. Or
Right, let me give him two, if it's all right with everybody, this doesn't look like that long a meeting tonight, so I just want to give him 2 more minutes to get here, just to make sure that, because this could be Paul's last meeting, correct, Stephanie?
Correct.
No, I was wondering if we were going to get rid of that guy. Eric, FYI, I have a hard stop, unfortunately, at 7:30.
All right, well,
We have a
then-
short session today, it looks like.
Yeah.
But I ask you to bear that in mind if you need to,
got it,
run the meeting in a way that would accommodate that.
good.
Yeah.
So let's go right to item 7 then. No.
Motion to adjourn. So Steph, what happened? What's going on with Paul? Is this his expiration of his term, or what is it?
It is, and I was going to make that announcement under item 5 once the meeting's called to order for staff reports.
All right, good.
Fill everybody in.
Okay. Sorry,
All right.
didn't mean to preempt that.
I'm going to go ahead. Lisa Tinley showed up, so that could be Paul.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey, Paul.
Paul.
How's it going?
All right. Well, and you're the 4th member that we have. So I was waiting. Hopefully, you would be here. So since we have an update on your situation on the board tonight, so you'll be on the agenda later on. So with that, I will take my magic pounder gavel and call the meeting to order for June 23rd. Can you start with a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Lane,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Here.
Commissioner Lamb,
Here.
Commissioner Lerner is absent. Commissioner Narnsick.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, very good. The next item is item 2, which is public comments. Now, what we do with this item is we go ahead and allow anyone who wants to speak on something other than what's on the agenda. Sometimes people bring up items that we should be aware of. Sometimes they give us feedback on something, a decision we made in the past. Other times they just make a statement about something that they're interested in. So with that, I'll go ahead and open the public comment section for items that aren't on the agenda. Anyone here, if you want to talk on that, I see everybody is on mute. So anyone want to take themselves off mute for that item? With that, seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment section, item 2. And then item 3 is the approval of the minutes. Any comments on those?
I have no comments, and if no one else does, I move we accept them.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. You were listed as abstain again, and I just want to make sure that's the way we're going to do it when people pull themselves out of a hearing for potential conflict. Okay, good. So with that, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second, Perry seconds.
Seconds, all, roll call, please.
Thank you. Chair Lane,
Yes,
Commissioner Tinelli,
you're on mute, Paul.
Thank you. Abstain?
Because he missed the meeting.
I was
You were
Right.
recused.
absent last month.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner is absent. Commissioner Narnsick,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, very good. The next section will be the public hearing section, and we'll conduct this every item the same way. What we'll do is we'll start with an overview from staff. Then we'll open up the public hearing section of the discussion, and we'll hear from the applicant or their representative. And then we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. And if anybody comes on later, I'll go through that explanation one more time so that they have the same understanding of how the meeting will work. With that, we'll go with item 4A, which is 207 Atherton Avenue, and we'll start with the staff report overview. Is it Stephanie? Are you on this one, or is it Jake?
This one will be me. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, go ahead, Jake. You're on mute, Jake. You're on mute.
Thank you. The item before you tonight, item 4A, is a continued item from the April 28th, 2021 regular Planning Commission meeting. It is a request for a special structures permit at 207 Atherton Avenue to allow for a detached accessory building, more specifically an office, to be allowed the same front setback as the main residence. The standard front setback for a detached accessory building is either 120 feet from the front property line or 30 feet behind the front of the main residence, whichever is less. And Atherton Municipal Code allows the front setback for accessory buildings on flag lots to be consistent with the front yard setback of the main residence upon issuance of a special structures permit by the Planning Commission. The required front yard setback for the main residence is 60 feet. The property is considered a flag lot, and the front property line is the western property line, which is the property line shared with the undeveloped lot. The applicant requests a detached building with a proposed front setback of 60 feet, requiring the special structures permit. All other proposed side and rear setbacks and development standards shall be complicit with the Atherton Municipal Code. And the closest property line is to the south and is a side property line. The proposed building, if approved, will be 10 feet away, which is the standard side yard requirement allowed for accessory buildings. The Planning Commission, at its regular scheduled April 28th, 2001 Planning Commission meeting, continued the item and requested that the project applicant revise the plans to provide an updated and more detailed landscape screening plan. The applicant has since revised the plans to include a more detailed screening plan as requested by the Planning Commission. In addition to the existing bamboo located in the general area of the proposed improvements, the applicant is proposing to infill more bamboo along the existing row of bamboo, plant another row of bamboo between the accessory building and the neighboring building line, and further plans to install a new 16-foot southern magnolia tree to further screen the front of the property and fill in the gap of the landscaping in this area. At full maturity, the southern magnolia is anticipated to grow to be 30 to 50 feet, which should add to the screening of the new accessory building and the existing second level of the main residence. No changes have been made to the proposed building and its location since the item was last discussed in April. The existing and proposed landscape screening, in addition to the window height, are intended to assist with mitigating potential impacts of noise and privacy the building may have on neighboring properties, and planning staff finds the proposed garage location will not substantially impact neighboring properties with respect to privacy and view. The town arborist, Sally Benstall, reviewed the project plans and determined no on-site heritage trees would be negatively impacted by the construction of the detached office building at the proposed location, and finds the proposed screening to adequately meet the town's current landscape screening ordinance. Since this item was last discussed by the Planning Commission, the applicant has reached out to the neighboring property at 211 Atherton to better address issues raised by the neighbor of screening and privacy. The project applicant has indicated that they have provided landscape screening details that have been reviewed and mutually agreed upon by the neighbors at 211 Atherton Avenue, In addition to the proposed on-site landscape screening, the homeowner of 207 Atherton has agreed to plant a tree in the yard of 211 Atherton to further enhance screening and has been added as a condition of approval in attachment 1. Since the distribution of the packet, the applicant team has requested to make an amendment to condition 8 of the Planning Commission packet, which reads, prior to the project final by the building department, the applicant shall verify that an additional tree has been planted on the adjacent property at 211 Atherton Avenue and submit a verification from the property owner of 211 Atherton Avenue that they have authorized the planting of such a tree. The applicant has worked with their project landscape architect and arborist and would like to request that the Planning Commission to specify that the condition to specify in the condition to include that the tree to be planted is a 24-inch box tulip tree, thereby adding the tree species and size to condition 8. Staff has been informed by the applicant that the neighbor has agreed to the tree species and size. Planning staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the request for special structures permit in accordance with the Atherton Municipal Code and the attached conditions of approval based on the findings stated within the staff report, with the amended condition 8 being accepted. Notice of this application has been mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property. To date, the town has not received any new public comments. The applicant team is present and available to answer any questions. It appears that the neighbor is also on the call and may be available to answer questions. And that is all I have. Thank you for your time, and I yield back to you, Chair.
All right, Jake. So if the motion to was made, it would have to include the reference to the amendment, right?
Yes, well, it's to your discretion, but you may amend condition 8 to include the tree species and size to be included within that condition.
Right, I just want to make sure it wasn't added already. I didn't notice it. All right, very good. All right, then with that, Jake, can you return the screen to us for a minute so I can see everybody? Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and open the public comment section, and we'll go ahead and hear from the applicant or representative. Stephen, is that you?
No, I'm the property manager for Mr. Oshman.
Okay. All right. So who's
Yeah, so this is Raymond Gilday. I can start this
okay.
off from our team here.
All right.
So I've got our landscape architect here. If any questions there? We've got representatives from the building architect as well. As mentioned, since the last meeting, we had a site meeting at 211 with the owner. It was very productive, and with Stephen Rossi, his property manager. Everything was discussed and verbally agreed to at that time. And then it became a condition of approval. So I reached out again, and we had further discussions about the particular species that I felt should be included at this time. And the cost, and we've even gotten a mutually agreed upon arborist that we both work with to provide a cost for that. So I think everything is in order from that perspective, unless, David or Stephen, if you have anything else to add to that, but that's what's happened since the last meeting. And I think we're in a good position in terms of this tree on the other side, and that they're satisfied with our enhanced screening and addressing.
Yes,
their
I
concerns.
agree. We did agree to.
Stephen, hold on for a minute. We're going to do one at
Sure.
a time on open
Yeah, sorry.
conversation. Yeah, that's all right. It's easy to do in Zoom to just have a conversation, but we got to keep the organization of the meeting the way it normally would be.
Yeah,
So,
understood.
yeah. So Raymond, anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Anybody else on your team that wants to talk? All
Yeah,
right.
I don't know that we have to, we're certainly here for questions. I think we're well prepared if you have Stephen or David have any questions, or staff,
All right, great.
right?
All right.
Okay.
So so the next person, Stephen, let's start with you.
Okay, so I think, as Raymond said, we're good. We had a nice conversation, and we basically agreed to the proposed enhanced screening, the layered screening, and the addition of them agreeing to plant a 24-inch box tulip tree on Mr. Oshman's property. So I think we're okay here.
And you want the and you're fine with the stipulation in the motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Anyone else here to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. Anyone who want to start on this one?
Yeah, this is Randy. Hey, I'm fine with it the way it is. Happy to make a motion if everybody else is okay with it. I'm a little confused on what needs to get added to the motion, and if somebody else knows, they're welcome to make that motion themselves.
I think you can just say, we'll just probably come back to you in a minute, Randy, but it'll just be as discussed, as amended by staff. All right, is that, Jake, will that work?
Yes, and I can also drop the amended condition in the chat box for anyone to read.
All right, good. Why don't you do that while we're finishing the discussion? All right, any other commissioner have anything?
I have no questions, but I agree with Randy that a little confusing on how to make the stipulation in the motion, but thanks for taking care of that, Jake. But just really encouraged with the work through this item since we continued it. Thank you for your efforts and your consideration for the neighbors. And that's what we're here for, is to make sure that neighbors are good neighbors, and to make sure that projects are, you know, we want to make sure that people do what they want to do with their properties, but at the same time, they fit in with concerns of the neighbors and things like that. And I think you guys have set a good example for that. So, you know, thanks very much. I know it's a large parcel in the acreage, and there's a lot of separation, but when there's a concern, we need to address it. And I think that's been done. So thanks for your efforts.
Barry, anything?
I agree wholeheartedly and unreservedly with Mr. Tonelli, and hope he stays on the commission for a long time for that reason.
I absolutely agree too. This is a classic example of doing the right thing the right way. So I appreciate the conversation that went on after the last meeting, and I'm glad it was resolved properly. So Randy, you want to make your motion?
Yeah, and I just saw Jake's thing, although I'm on my phone. So let me, I assume, Jake, you want me just to add it at the end of the motion? Is that what you posted?
Go ahead and I can read it. I can read it when as amended, and I'll read after the as amended.
Okay, I move that the Planning Commission approve the special structures permit at 207 Atherton Avenue based on the findings and subject to the conditions listed in the draft special structures permit to allow the location of a detached accessory building and office to have the same front yard setback as the main dwelling.
And prior to the project final building department, the applicant shall verify an additional 24-inch box tulip tree that has been planted on the adjacent property at 211 Atherton Avenue, and submit a verification of the property owner of 211 Atherton Avenue that they authorize the planting of such a tree. All right, that's the last part of your amendment.
Beautiful.
All right.
I will second the amendment.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair Lane.
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lerner is absent. Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, great. Item 4B, heritage tree removal permit at 1000 El Camino Real. And we'll start with the same format, overview from staff. And it looks like Stephanie is doing this one. Is that correct?
Yes,
All
thank
right,
you, Chair.
Very good. And then we'll open up for the applicant after she's done.
So tonight, the commission is being asked to consider the request for a heritage tree removal permit to allow for the removal of one 20-inch Coast live oak tree at 1000 El Camino Real, Menlo College. So just a little bit of history. Back in 2020, the Planning Commission did approve a conditional use permit, a density bonus, as well as a tree protection zone or TPC exception at Menlo College that was associated with the request to construct a new 3-story, 147-unit residence hall on campus. At that time, the subject tree, which is referenced as tree number 8 in the staff report and application materials, was not slated for removal. So the tree itself, tree number 8, is located to the front right of the residence hall, which is currently under construction, and just outside the extent of the associated fire lane that's in front of the building. And through the building permit process that happens subsequent to Planning Commission approval, The residence hall was shifted 15 feet towards the northeast, or effectively towards tree number 8, to protect an irrigation well, to move farther away from another on-site heritage, I should say healthy heritage tree, tree number 58, that was slated to remain, and as well as to meet subsequent fire department design requirements associated with that fire lane I previously mentioned. So during the excavation and grading work, the project arborist, as is required under building permit conditions, did conduct their monthly inspections of the site and the trees on site, prepared monthly reports, as well as a specific assessment to tree number 8, and did note that there was severe impact to tree number 8's roots, and that any subsequent or future excavation would likely further undermine the tree itself, and recommended that it be removed. So our town arborist does note that such a reduced tree protection zone distance, that 15-foot shift that I mentioned previously, and the resulting distance to tree number 8 would not have been allowed under the current town's heritage tree guidelines, standards, and specifications document. And that upon her recent physical inspection to the site and investigation of the tree, she noted tree number 8 was thin, it was stressed, and it was starting to defoliate. She does find, given those physical conditions of the tree, combined with the applicant's proposed replanting plan of 2 new 48-inch box size oak trees, does meet the standard Atherton Municipal Code replanting requirements, and combined with the tree's probability of failure and resulting potential to be a hazard and or cause injury and or damage, is recommending approval of the tree removal combined with the conditions as listed in the draft heritage tree removal certificate as included in your package. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have. I do see our town arborist is on the call, as well as Mr. Bob Talbot representing the college. Thank you.
Stephanie had a question. What caused the root damage? I mean, was it a backhoe situation, or was there supposed to be more care around the roots to do the excavation, or what happened?
It was excavation work. The specific nature of the excavation work, whether it was backhoe, et cetera, I'm not privy to. Perhaps Sally would be able to speak more specifically on that.
Sally, you're on mute. Do you have anything on that?
I actually don't have anything on that. I was more specifically just looking at the health of the tree and comparing it to what the original inventory said, which was the tree was already starting to decline. So I didn't want to focus on the damage during the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions of staff?
Just a question for Sally. So I'm just trying to interpret your opinion and what you wrote in the report. So are you saying it's difficult to tell how long the tree's been in decline and what has affected that decline?
Yeah, because at the start of the project, it was already somewhat, it was in moderate to poor shape, as noted by the project arborist. It was already thin. Obviously, the construction impacts were speeding up the decline, but I feel if the tree was healthy, I would have denied the request or recommended denial. So
Right. So and in reading through your evaluation, and I just want to be clear on this because obviously, I guess the tree needs to be removed. But my concern is how this project proceeded outside of the guidelines provided by the city or by the town.
well, it's my understanding they shifted the building. So I'm not sure when that took place. But when I originally plan checked, I did look for the TPZ zones. Maybe the applicant can speak on that, but for some reason they had to shift the building.
All right. Well, let's see. Stephanie, you don't have any information on that either, right? Why was,
Yeah, I was-
how was the building shifted without consideration for the tree?
Likely the 15-foot shift would still have the building well within its required zoning setback, so wasn't slated through the planning department and would have been a revision to the existing building permit.
So that'd be a feedback thing that we want to do to the building department, correct?
I'm sorry?
That we need to do some kind of syncing up with the building department in the future, correct?
Yes, that would be the appropriate channel.
Maybe I'll talk to them directly.
Yeah. So, I mean, my concern is not about the tree removal. I get the item regarding that and the project that's going on, but, you know, just trying to be clear on if guidelines were sidestepped or things were ignored or if there were, you know, procedures that weren't followed.
Right.
I'm unclear on that, reading through this.
Let's hear from the applicant and also after the applicant's done, I want to highlight something that was sent in on email to Jake from Edward Goldstein, who lives, Earl Goldstein, who lives nearby. And so, but I want to start with the applicant, and some of the issues might be covered by that. I think the applicant may have had access to that email also. All right.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I do believe the email that was submitted by Mr. Edward Goodstein is for the next item for Menlo Schools Master.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. I had it attached to this one, so I'm glad you highlighted that. All right, great. Because the questions look the same to me. All right. All right, go ahead then. We'll go ahead and start with the applicant. Bob, you're here for that, or Randy?
Yeah, yes, I am. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Bob Talbot, Menlo College. I don't think I can add too much more than what staff has presented. I can say that the tree protection required by the project was in place for that particular tree. I don't feel anything was sidestepped for that purpose, but between Sally and the staff, I think they presented the case as best we can.
What was used in the excavation? Was it a backhoe? Do you know?
I don't know specifically. They've had a number of pieces of equipment out there. Then there's some significant grading that's going on, but again, taking into consideration the tree protection areas are not being touched.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing for me.
All right. Anyone else here to speak on this item? I don't see anybody coming off mute. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Anybody ready to talk on this one?
No, I think I've already kind of voiced my concerns.
Yeah, I didn't like this project from the beginning and I like it less now. I voted against it because I thought it was overly dense on the property. And we haven't even started to see the parking issues that I anticipate coming through. You know, I'm just not happy about this whole process. So that's all I've got to say. So anyone else have anything?
Yeah, this is Randy. I don't have a problem with what's been proposed.
Barry?
Yeah, I don't have any comments. Thank you.
All right, we need a motion.
I'll go ahead and make the formal motion. I move that the Planning Commission find that the proposed removal of one 20-inch coast live oak tree at 1000 El Camino Real, Menlo College, would not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan for the reasons outlined in the staff report, and that the commission approve the tree removal subject to the conditions listed in the draft heritage tree removal certificate.
The motion.
I'm happy to second it. I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lane,
No.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner is absent. Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, there we go. There goes another tree. All right, item 4C, school master plan for Menlo School at 50 Valparaiso Avenue. All right, we'll go through the same process. Stephanie, are you up for this one too?
Thank you.
And as you pointed out, we did have something from Edward Goodstein, and so someone on their team can either answer the questions or we'll talk about that later. So Ben, you're up on this one.
Yes, would you like a?
Or Stephanie, you're up. You're up. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. So tonight the commission is requested to consider accepting the 2021 master plan update for Menlo School, as is done annually with all the private schools and the college in town. Menlo School has prepared their 2021 master plan update in accordance with the provisions of the Atherton Municipal Code. So the master plan update discusses no changes to any land uses on campus, including at this time any changes to the shared use of the Carton Field Athletic Complex. The plan does identify the investigation of potential faculty housing on site. However, no specific timeframes nor preliminary construction plans have been identified at this point in time. So given the COVID-19 pandemic, the master plan update does include a response on its COVID-19 protocols, since it is now was operating, I think school is now ended, with 100% of its students on campus this past academic year. The school does have a current enrollment maximum of 795 students, as initiated in its original conditional use permit back from 2013, I believe is the year. However, you'll see the 2021 master plan update does identify an increased enrollment above that 795 cap at approximately 20 to 30 students over. The school does identify that this is likely a result of increased applications unprecedented in prior years from families they note to potentially have been dissatisfied with the public school responses during this last academic year as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, this temporary enrollment increase prompted the school to enter into an agreement with the town. Specifically, this agreement was with the head of schools via the town's city manager and as approved by the town's town attorney's office, that allows for a temporary increased enrollment over the course of 2 years. However, further requires a compliance plan that requires that this enrollment increase be rolled back to the maximum allowed 795 students over the course of the next 2 years, as well as requiring the school to implement a shuttle and carpooling program to reduce student trips, while also continuing to adhere and to maintain their required transportation demand management, or TDM program that, again, prior to COVID, requires the school to reduce trips through other means of alternative transportation modes, such as carpooling, buses, etc. So such temporary enrollment has been communicated to the neighborhood during the school's annual neighborhood meeting, which was conducted last month in May, in which it was reported that there were 3 neighbors who attended the meeting. The school does also have a self-monitoring mechanical monitoring program for traffic counts. So while the reports were suspended in 2020, again, due to COVID, for 2021, the vehicle trips are noted by the school to be high, but still less than the targeted averages within the approved conditional use permit. And this is attributed to the fact that there were no home to school bus services that were temporarily suspended, again, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as typically such shuttle systems transported about 120 to 140 students to the campus. As referenced previously, there was one item of public comment that has been received by the town post distribution of the Planning Commission packet distributed online. I'm happy to read that public comment into the record, Chair, if you'd like.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
So the public comment was received on Monday, June 21st, and it reads, I'm Edward Goodstein. We own a house at 71 McBain Avenue. I won't be able to attend the master plan status report meeting June 23rd. I have a few questions for the school. First, what further building plans does the school now have or anticipate in the near future? Also, do they anticipate any increase of enrollment or extended hours of opening beyond current ones, including for athletic events? Does the school have any plans for the improvement of the area on or around the end of the McBain cul-de-sac? Also, while I've called the school and notified police about illegal parking by students and drop-offs/pickups there, the problem continues during the school term. Presumably some or most of these questions will be addressed in the presentation. I would appreciate having access to the information or how to get the information after June 23rd. I can be reached here, also at my cell phone. Thank you. By Edward Goodstein. This information has been shared with the director of the school, who has noted that they are prepared to provide responses to these questions during their presentation tonight, as well as individually contacting Mr. Goodstein directly. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have. Thank you.
Any questions from the commission?
Not for me.
None for me.
All right. All right. I know Randy would come forward if he did. So we'll go ahead and open up the public comment section, and we'll start with the applicant. And Ben, are you on this one, or who's going to speak for you guys?
I'm going to have Lauren start, although I'm happy to speak to enrollment issues if people have questions, but it may make more sense to have Lauren Arms start. So go ahead, Lauren.
I'll go ahead and talk. Dear members of the Planning Commission, Menlo School is pleased to present the 2021 update to our master plan. I'm Lauren Arms, Menlo's Director of Operations and Construction. On the call, as you heard, was Stan Healy, Menlo's head of school, and Kevin Hart, who is Menlo's principal architectural partner for the majority of the 2000s, is here as well. We're pleased, of course, to have this opportunity to discuss our vision for Menlo School's future and reaffirm our continuing commitment to our stakeholders, including the town and the neighbors. As many of you are aware, Menlo School has been incredibly fortunate to renovate and or newly build the entirety of our physical campus over approximately the last 2 decades. With the completion of the Speaker Center for the Arts in late 2020, Menlo School has completed phase 3 of our strategic plan. And for the foreseeable future, we have no plans for any new construction. So obviously that's the answer to the first question that Ed was asking. We're of course very excited about the Speaker Center and can't wait to see our students using the facility this fall. We believe it's an absolutely beautiful space and we encourage you to visit. I want to highlight a couple things that going forward, there are presently 2 significant development initiatives that the school continues to discuss and which are included in the master plan. The first is we continue to examine how we would improve the Carton Athletic Complex to better support our various athletic programs. As you know, we jointly own the land with the college, so this is a discussion that we have together. To date, we have not decided when or if, but we remain hopeful that we will move forward at some point. Secondly, the cost of living in the peninsula, and particularly the cost of housing, is a well-known challenge for most everyone living here, but especially our teachers. Over the past few years, Menlo School has purchased a total of 10 apartments in Menlo Park to assist our teachers, particularly those who are moving to the Bay Area. In addition to these apartments, the school continues to discuss whether we should build housing on campus, but like Carton, at present, we have not decided to do so. The final item I'd like to discuss is the one that brought up about enrollment for the upcoming year. We are presently at 795 students. As discussed in the staff report, we are going to be over enrolled for the upcoming year. It's difficult to be certain about the cause and effect, but our acceptance yield, and I want to correct something earlier, it's not the number of applicants we had, it's that those applications yielded a much higher than normal percentage of acceptances. So we have worked with the town on a compliance plan with the aim to get our enrollment back to 795. And we have what we believe is a comprehensive plan to ensure that we abide with the requirements of our traffic management demand program, including the morning and afternoon peak traffic counts. Once again, we appreciate the opportunity to keep the town of Atherton and our neighbors informed as we develop our plans for the future. And with that, of course, we'd welcome any feedback or any questions, and I can certainly respond to Ed's email. I have it in front of me, so there's a number of questions there.
All right. All right. Anything else then? Dan, are you going to say anything?
Oh, happy to speak to enrollment questions. We're at 823 now. We will have some more summer melt. We've already experienced some. We fully anticipate that we'll be back to 795 within the 2-year period in the compliance plan that we submitted and was approved by the town. We don't have an interest in expanding our enrollment right now. If we did, we'd go about it in a different way. We'd come here first and ask for a CUP change. This was backwards, and we had no intention to try to have this happen this year. It just, like I said, as Lauren said, it was about 10 percentage points higher yield than we've seen historically. Just didn't see it this year. And if anything, we anticipated our yield going down and needing to go to our wait list. So this surprised us, and so we'll serve a few more kids for a couple of years and then be back at 795.
I had a couple of questions about the parking issue. And it's gonna the Menlo College situation and yours are going to pretty soon be melded together in people's mind, even if you don't want it to. So your cooperation with them and their new dormitory and all that stuff is going to spill over into your yard no matter what you do. So what are you thinking about differently? Another item that I was thinking of, or another issue in terms of the additional traffic, is that many parents may not want to be helping other kids get to school, so they're not carpooling as much together in addition to the bus issue. So for a while, people are going to be hesitant to add people to their own cars, probably. What are you thinking about doing on that? I know that there's a nearby school has students, I think, that run around on bicycles and try to make sure that their kids are parking properly. Or so what's the additional plan on this? Because I think it's going to get worse over the next 2 years, unfortunately, no matter what happens on your enrollment.
So there's 2 questions that you're asking. One is about parking, the other one is about traffic. It sounds like those 2 are the issues. We've not run into too many parking issues. We've got a lot of parking on campus. We don't, unlike a neighbor school, we don't have our students parking so much on Park Lane. That's the one street in Atherton where I think there are parking issues. Every other street around our campus is restricted. Student parking is restricted. So when our students park in on public streets, it's usually in Menlo Park on University Avenue, where there's a time limit. And so that's, we're not seeing sort of big parking issues. The traffic issue is significant. And for the reasons that you identified, Commissioner Lane, we're quite worried about it. We've increased, Lauren can talk a little bit more about this. We've increased the number of buses that we'll be bringing to campus. We've contracted with a new bus company, one that we like quite a bit. Hopefully with the technology improvements that this company will bring, and eventually the all-electric fleet that we hope will be bringing to our campus. We think this is the wagon we want to hitch our star to. But But in addition to that, we're going to have to figure out some creative ways to handle, especially the beginning of the school year when the pandemic isn't fully behind us. About 42% of our students right now are vaccinated. We've got a major push going on right now to see, we haven't required vaccinations. We can't, of our sixth graders. The incoming sixth graders aren't old enough at this time, but 7th through 12th graders are old enough. And we're pushing hard to see if we can't get as many of those students vaccinated as possible. Mostly it impacts our program in the fall and our capacity to run our regular program, but it would certainly impact the kinds of things that you're talking about, carpools and riding on buses and not needing to distance as much on buses and things like that. So we think actually vaccinations are part of the program, and if we need to, we may move to require vaccinations. Colleges are doing that, not so much middle schools and high schools, but it's clear that it's the right thing. And with this Delta variant, that may ultimately be the decision we make, independent of traffic issues. But it can only help the traffic situation if we have more students vaccinated. And so we think that's also part of the project. So Lauren could talk about some of the other mitigations that we've got in place for our traffic if you'd like, but
I just want to make sure I know you're on it. One thing I would throw out there that maybe you need a 3-school connection on this, because you're all going to be painted with the parking issue over the next couple of years. And as a team of the 3 schools that are all linked there, you may need to come together and say, okay, how are we all going to solve this? Because you're all going to get blamed for it, no matter whose car it is, because it's going to be a kid walking away from a car.
Right.
So just be aware of the fact that more is coming for all the same reasons on your campus, other campuses, and it's going to affect all of you.
Am I assuming right, or am I hearing right, Commissioner Lane, that Park Lane is the primary concern, or are there other streets in Atherton that we need to know about that you're hearing from neighbors about? Because we're not hearing about parking issues other than Park Lane.
I'm not sure which. I know I hear generally the issues around parking around the schools, but I don't know attributed to whom. So. Okay. Maybe Stephanie or Jake can fill in on anything that they understand. I just know that it's constantly we're being asked about it on both meetings and when things are being approved.
We tend to, through the chair, typically get comments when the public notice is sent out on the master plan updates from the planning department, if at all. But outside of those public town notices that go out annually for these master plan updates, from the planning department perspective, we're not hearing.
Right. It's more of an irritant when you drive through the neighborhood. I drive through the neighborhoods regularly just to see how it looks, and there's just a lot of traffic around the schools. So the traffic, you're right. The traffic highlights the fact that there's a parking issue sometimes. It's one generates the other. So 3-school task force might be appropriate. At least you could all be talking with a common understanding of what's going on. Each of you have slightly different issues in terms of what you hear, but together you're all being painted with with that.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments of the president?
Briefly, the issue of faculty housing was brought up, and even though there's no plans for any accommodations or anything like that, just bringing up that issue means there's a thought out there somewhere. I'm wondering what kinds of discussions, what kinds of things you have talked about looking to the future for accommodating faculty with housing.
Commissioner Tonelli, we know that the cost of living in this area is the biggest sort of existential threat to the school, more than anything else, because our faculty are what makes the school the school. Buildings are nice, but the people are what makes schools what they are. So, and what we also know is that it's getting, our faculty is aging. The people who were hired here at a time when they could buy a house, within a 10-mile radius of the school, are starting to retire. And the people that we're hiring now don't have a shot. Half Moon Bay, maybe. East Bay, much more likely, but that starts to become an hour and 15 or an hour and a half trek across the bay. So we, as Lauren pointed out, we have 10 units that we've purchased in Menlo Park, 6 units at Kent Place, and 4 down on Roble. Those are fully occupied by faculty who are new to the school. We could probably triple those, Lauren. Would you guess that that's right? We could probably triple that and
Great.
still have desire on the part of our faculty for housing. We have a down payment assistance program where we try to get faculty into their own houses. We think that's the long-term solution. But the places that they're buying aren't anywhere near the school. So we have looked at the front of the school along Valparaiso. That's the big parking lot that's there. We could imagine a day where we put the parking underground, or maybe a day far off in the future where we wouldn't need to have as many cars coming to campus, and that land could be used better for housing of some kind. But the conversations just haven't proceeded very far. It's much more cost effective just to continue to buy units in Menlo Park than it is to go through the hassle of trying to develop land. And it's not even clear that a whole lot of faculty are going to want to live on the front porch of the school. It's nice to have a little bit of separation. So I'm not sure the demand is there, and the cost would be right now is quite prohibitive. We realize that it would be helpful to the town of Atherton, who faces, an affordable housing demand or stipulation from the state government. And so I have gotten a lot of questions from council members about whether we're planning on building anytime soon. And we are eager to be good partners, but if I'm being honest, this isn't on the short or medium term radar for us in a realistic way, short of something dropping into our laps. Would you agree with that, Lauren?
I would agree with that. I think we would continue more of the same approach that we've had where we buy off-campus housing, more likely.
I appreciate the clarification on that. Thank you for the details.
Yep.
Perry, Randy, anything?
I have just a quick question, which is there's reference to the regular outreach to the neighbors. And my only question is, do any issues come up from time to time, and what are they other than parking?
The last, 2 or 3 neighborhood meetings that we have been extremely, extremely positive. So the complaints have been very few, and frankly, they're very flattering. Even when we brought the enrollment issue up, the people thanked us for being so open about it and bringing it forward rather than finding out via another mechanism. And I think we've done that with the town as well. We certainly have no intention of not being a good neighbor and not doing the right things. And so, again, I think people are excited about the Speaker Center. As you know, the Music at Menlo programs are in there. Many of our neighbors attend those. They're excited probably that our major construction is done. So the comments were really super positive this year, and definitely the prior 2 meetings as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys should hold seminars on how to do community relations for the area schools. You're doing a great job on that.
Well, you're nice to say that. It hasn't always been that way. Lauren and I inherited a pretty smooth operation, but Kevin Hart was probably there for some pretty hairy early conversations, and we'd like to keep it that way. You all, by the way, are happy. We're happy to have you join any of these meetings. They're pretty congenial.
Good.
Are there snacks there?
In non-COVID times, there are snacks, and there is one resident of Menlo Park that enjoys coming and walking home with most of the snacks. So Perry, if you came and ate, we would love it.
All right.
There's even wine, so.
Oh, now I'll show for sure. All right, Randy, any questions?
Nope.
All right.
Good report.
All right, good. Anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, go ahead. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate.
So I guess I'll start. And I appreciate the partnership with Menlo School, and I've been on the Planning Commission for 8 years now, and this process of the master plan update has always been fairly smooth and fairly straightforward. And as Eric had just said, and your relationship with the neighbors is great. The thing that concerns me, you have addressed it, is just the enrollment. And, you know, that is kind of written into the conditional use permit, and that's a number. And to me, I think it's incumbent on you to see how that number fits. And I understand you had a surprisingly high number of people that were at the acceptable level, and I don't know how you adjust those numbers. I'm not an admissions, so that's way above my pay grade, but to me, it seems that there's a way to get that number in line with the CUP. So I'm glad you've worked with the town to work that out for the next couple of years, but to me, that is an issue of concern, at least as we look forward. I personally am a little bit disappointed that it kind of came in where the number came in where it did, and don't totally understand why it couldn't be adjusted to 795. But since you've worked it out with the town, it is what it is. And moving ahead after 2 years, we have to make sure that that's back down to 795. So outside of that, you know, the traffic management has always been dialed in, and the TDMs have been always very good at Menlo School, and there's never really been an issue. And that, to me, that was very surprising to see that number come in the way it did. So I'm, you know, I'll approve the master plan update, but just wanted to go on the record as saying I'm a little disappointed that that enrollment number came out the way it did.
Anything else? Randy, you got anything? If not, I'm ready to make a motion. I move that the planning commission accept for the filing of the 2021 annual master plan update and TDM monitoring report for Menlo School.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Chinelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Commissioner Lerner is absent, Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
All right, thank you all. Thank you for waiting too, and we'll see you soon.
Work together.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you
All
very much.
right. Item number 5, staff reports.
Thank you, Chair. The biggest news that I'd like to announce is that unfortunately tonight is Commissioner Chinelli's last night on the Planning Commission. His term does expire in June of this year. Last week, the City Council did appoint a resident by the name of Gabia Kantz, hopefully I am pronouncing that correctly, who did submit an application, and she was indeed appointed for a term that would expire on June 30th, 2025, so 4 years from to date.
Well, it works out.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I was really hoping that you'd get an extension like I did, but one of the great lines from a great movie that comes to mind, and I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow. You've been a great person to have. You've been on the ride with me for the whole time I've been here, almost the whole time I've been here. I think maybe I was a couple of months before you, but you've always had this level head and great radio voice, and and have always done your homework, and have always been thoughtful, and always been a great person to have on the commission. And I'll definitely miss you a lot.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that too. You will be missed. I agree. And yeah, we're gonna have to listen to you on the radio now. I guess I have to listen to the bone now and not just hear you once a month on our calls.
I had been thinking about trying to see if there would be an extension, but when there was an application, I figured the writing was on the wall. So, but Eric, you've been a great chair for the time that you have been chairing the Planning Commission. I think that's why you're still sitting in that chair. And I've traded emails with you. I've loved your balance or your objective way of looking at things, considering both sides, especially the way neighborhoods are affected. And Randy, with your experience in the development world and putting things together, you're the perfect person to be on this commission and lend your experience. And Perry, the way you have progressed since you started and gotten comfortable with your opinion, and especially with your legal background, it's a great team to have. And Jake and Ralph, great to meet you guys. It's been a little bit short, but Stephanie, thank you too for everything you have done with the commission, and the way you've led from your staff position has just been fantastic, and kind of just, herding the cats every month has been fantastic. So it's been a great experience, and wish I could continue it, but who knows, maybe there's another opportunity at another time, but it's been great. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, Eric, I informally moved that at the first meeting where we meet in person, I will bring the beer, and we should invite and will invite Mr. Tonelli and make a proper send off.
Thank you.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we'll definitely miss you. By the way, just for the record, I'm going to give you a standing ovation. And luckily, I remembered to have pants on today.
Good for all of us. Thank you.
Well said, Randy.
All right, item number 6, Commissioner reports.
None for me.
All quiet.
Definitely silence means that we're all caught up on all of what we've been doing. So with that, item number 7, I think, Paul, you have the motion on this one as your last act.
Absolutely.
I will motion that we adjourn.
And I'll second unwillingly, because if we extend this meeting, you stay on the commission. Isn't that how that works? I'll
Just don't
second.
close the meeting.
All right. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
No.
All right.
Ooh, hey, yeah, Perry, we could keep him on for a while. You and I could go with no's. I know that was probably a Brown Act violation. Sorry.
No, I think Trump already tried that.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner is absent, and Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
I have
All
to,
right, Paul, you have a great time. Stop by any time and be sure to wear your sunscreen. We'll see you when we all get back together.
Hey, I think Steph was going to say something.
Oh,
I was just going to make a note that of all the probably maybe hundreds of planning commissions that I've ever attended in the course of my career, this is the first time that I've ever heard a nay vote to adjourn a meeting. So
There you go. So noted.
and
I almost did a no too, but it would have been a tie. Then what would we have done?
I was going to struggle legally. I would have to go ask Commissioner Narnsick for some legal input on it.
That could be very expensive. All right. Thank you
Okay,
all.
everybody.
We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Good job.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye.